Hi everybody, I'm Michael Carty. Today we're going to be talking about the second part of exposure, which has to do with your histogram. So stick around, we'll get to it. Nice, easy, simple explanation. Now, if you haven't watched the first part of exposure, I would suggest looking at that video first, just because it kind of lays down the foundation for what we're going to talk about next. So, take your time. Oh wait.
Okay!
Your histogram can look really confusing at first, but it's nothing to be afraid of, and I'm going to simplify it for you so that it's going to be the easiest thing that you ever use. You see, when your camera captures an image, it records that image as a graph, basically information telling how much light and how much shadow is within that image. Everything to the left of that graph are shadows, dark spots within your image. Everything to the right side of your graph are highlights and bright spots in your image. And everything in the center of that graph are your midtones, evenly exposed pieces of light, basically anything that's close to a medium gray. And when you shoot an image and your histogram graph is leaning a little bit too close to the left-hand side, that usually means that it's underexposed, because all the information from that image is leaning towards the shadow side. It works the same way for the right-hand side of your histogram as well. This time, on this side, it's too blown out, too much light, too many highlights, and everything is lost in whiteness. Where that information on your graph is an indicator of how well exposed that image is. So if it's too much to the left, it's underexposed. If it's too much to the right, it's overexposed. And if it's in the center, you're pretty much evenly exposed. Now remember, each camera has its own range, its own dynamic range of how much light it can actually capture. Believe it or not, that's actually less light than your eyes can see. So any information that slides off the edges of that graph, that detail is gone. It's either full-blown black or full-blown white. So when you take an image and you look at your histogram, it will tell you whether you're over, under, or evenly exposed for that shot. That way, you can just change your settings, change your exposure, and the information on your histogram will shift up or down the graph to whichever direction you made it take. One thing to take into account is that you may want to lean the graph a little more towards the right-hand side, or the highlight side, the lighter side of your graph. The reason is because it's easier to adjust your exposure in post-production, like on your computer, to bring highlights down than it is to bring shadows up. If you brought shadows up, there's more likely that there will be noise, and nobody wants noise in their image. But sometimes you want clipping in your image. Remember clipping? That's when the information on your histogram slides off one side or the other. Maybe you want to shoot a high key shot, which is one of those images where everything is blown out white, except for a little bit of detail that just happens to slip in there. The histogram for that would be right up against the right-hand side of your graph. Or if you want to do a low-key shot, where the histogram would put the graph over on the left-hand side, where it's all black, except for just certain parts that you want to keep in detail and pick up in the image. That's all good and fine. You need control of that creativity. And by learning these tools, you'll have control over it. So histogram is a great tool to use to follow your exposure whenever you need to. I love it when it's a hot, bright, sunny day outside. I can't see anything. My LCD screen is a mirror. I can't tell if my image is dark or bright, or even if it went off. I can't see this thing. Oh, I need a blanket. Can you see this? Stupid graph. That stupid graph, you can easily see on a bright sunny day. And all you need to know is see where it's positioned in its little box. I like doing test shots, checking my histogram in studio. And once I have the exposure that I want, or that I know I can work with, then I never check it again. Because the light stays the same. Because the light stays the same in studio. And I never have to check my settings again. Well, that's it for the second part of exposure, the histogram. What's the histogram? I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you learned what the histogram is, what it does, how you can use it as a tool for your exposure and your photography. And I hope it helps you in those challenging situations, or even those situations where you just want to be a little bit more creative. If you'd like to learn more, stick around, subscribe to this channel. Beginning in January, there's going to be a lot of stuff, a lot of free things, a lot of giveaways, a lot of new things coming your way. I want to help you become a better photographer, either as a hobbyist, as a professional. Show off your skills. Enjoy taking a photograph. Create memories that people will cherish forever. So again, subscribe, keep an eye out for updates. We're gonna have a lot of fun this year. 2013, 2013, 2013. I'm Michael Carty. See you next time.